Hello and welcome to episode number 18 of Over Theologizing. I'm Tyler.
And I'm Joe. And today we're talking about the gospel. It's just the gospel the whole time, guys. Stay tuned.
Mr. Joe.
Mr. Tyler.
I beat you to it this time.
You did. You earned it.
Yes.
How's it going, man?
Dude, it is going. We have had an interesting day. Just dealing with car troubles and all of that, but hopefully we will get that sorted out.
Yeah. Yeah, we were talking before the pod about car troubles, and I'm actually having car troubles too. I just replaced my wife's front rotors and pads and didn't check the rear ones. Well, guess what needs to be replaced?
Oh, man. Well,
So,
you
yeah.
could be like me, where this actually wasn't even that long ago. I went to go replace the rear pads because they were pretty bad. And when I pulled the wheel off, we pulled the pads off, and I go to try to compress the cylinder so we can fit the new pads in,
Yep.
and it wouldn't go. It had totally seized. So I had to, without the pads, drive all the way across town in morning traffic to get the van to the break place.
Can you downshift in your van, or?
No.
Oh.
It was let's just say I was puckering the whole way. Was not having a fun drive.
Yeah.
We made it there alive, though.
Yeah. You are still currently alive, unless you're AI. I don't know. You could be AI.
Hey, these days you never know.
When I first logged in, you looked like AI. And that's only going to make sense to us. And I'm going to leave it that way. Breaks are really like the gospel, because if you're not attentive, you don't pay attention, you're going to die. So be attentive, read your Bible,
change your brakes.
Yeah. Maintain yourself spiritually. Change your brakes. It's a good word right there.
Only the creator and the originator of the idea of a show called Over Theologizing could do that.
Yeah.
So I applaud you. I
Yeah. I appreciate it. Well, we're recording late tonight, guys. We're gonna keep the energy up for you either way, though. We're dedicated just for you, especially our Venezuelan listeners. We appreciate you guys. You guys are awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, I had a little dinner at the pastor's house with all the elders and deacons and everything. Dude, I am so incredibly thankful for my church. Like, for all you listeners out there thinking about, your church and everything, dude, be thankful. I hope everybody's in a good church. If you're not in a good church, we've talked about switching churches before with Pete, and I think someone else maybe too had to switch a church. I know you did. We talked about yours.
Yep. Yeah. I feel like we did have a conversation with somebody else, but I don't.
Oh, Ray.
Was it Ray? Oh, yes, it was Ray. Yeah.
Yeah, and that should be a long process and everything, and it should be over serious things, not the color of the carpet or whatever. But yeah, man, just like I came to faith, and shortly after, like, just went to the closest church. It was a couple blocks away from where I lived at the time, and God put me in just the best church of all time. I love it.
That's
It's
awesome.
amazing. Yeah. So be thankful for your church. Be thankful for your pastors. Yeah. Speaking of Ray, we might have a conversation with him soon.
Yeah, he's actually currently at the OPC General Assembly, and he's been kind of steadily updating us about what's going on there, some of the complaints and other such things that come up at General Assembly. Of course, Joe and I have no real frame of reference for this, but it's been fascinating to hear him talk about it. So we'll probably have to have him back on once General Assembly wraps up, and maybe we can get some insight. As a matter of fact, it'll probably be done by the time this airs.
Yeah.
But so be looking out for that.
Yeah, a little teaser for you guys. Well, Tyler, I just today, uh, I was in the barbershop waiting in line and finished up my was reading Luke, finished up Luke, and dude, I haven't read Luke in a while. I don't know why. I'm not on a Bible reading plan or anything. No offense to anybody that is. It just doesn't work for me. But haven't read Luke in a little while, and dude, Luke is awesome. There's so many details in Luke that we get little deeper glimpses on than the other gospel accounts. And of course, there's things in the other, every individual gospel account has its purpose and is different than the others for a reason. But I just really appreciate Luke and like the attention to detail, and it makes sense for who Luke is as well. But the attention to
Right.
detail on certain things, uh, yeah, it's incredible. So, you know, I read the last two chapters, which is basically like Judas comes out, betrays Jesus, Jesus is crucified, and then the resurrection and everything. And I'm like
Right.
sitting in line in this barbershop like, oh man, don't cry, don't cry. Don't do it. But yeah, Luke is awesome, man. If you guys haven't read Luke in a while, like me, don't deprive yourself. It's great. Go back.
It's always good to revisit the Gospels, especially if it's one like that where there's a lot of like really. I mean, you got to consider like the rest of the Gospels are written um by, well, I guess maybe not all of them. I'm not sure Mark's background. Um, but, Luke was writing this account to a friend. He's basically just trying to get the news of what's going on. And then of course that's kind of like part one to Acts. And so he's coming from a very different perspective than like Matthew or John, especially. Matthew tends to focus real heavily on like his Jewishness.
Hmm.
Um, and then John obviously very heavily in his godhood. Um, and so Luke is looking at this from a like human perspective. And it's fascinating recollection of events,
Yeah.
especially for the nativity story, the way he captures all of that. I've always find very interesting.
Yeah. I can't remember specific examples, and I was scrolling through the chapters trying to find one real quick. It shows you how well I retain. But
Right.
but yeah, it's just awesome. And yeah, I don't know. Have you heard the theory that I you know, I don't know. I don't know much about it, but apparently some people say that Theophilus is just intended to be like, the main idea that people have is Theophilus is his friend, like a guy, and he's writing
Hmm.
this for him. But I don't know. I heard recently like a theory that Theophilus is just like a word he's using for like all of Christendom, basically.
Oh,
I don't know.
interesting.
Yeah, I don't know if there's
Well,
anything to
having
that.
having the prefix in his name of Theo is interesting.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I don't know. It could be.
I'd be interested to hear. Any of our scholarly listeners, I'm sure will let us know.
Yeah. Tell us how stupid we are. They're just gonna be like, actually,
Well,
that's a heresy.
about this point,
Yeah, yeah,
not
yeah.
not the rest of it,
Yeah,
please.
yeah.
We
Ignore all
already
that
know
other
about the
stuff.
rest of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Only clinically significant people could come up with a podcast such as this.
That's right. That's right. Oh man.
Yeah, but my pastor's going through Isaiah, which is like, I don't know, I feel like I say pretty much like 60 books of the Bible are my favorite books out of the 66.
Right.
But, dude, Isaiah is so great, and, we just went through chapter 6, which, obviously, chapter 6 is high up there on the list of the, 50 something chapters in Isaiah, 56 or something
Of
like that.
course.
Yeah, it's great. So, yeah, we're gonna be in Isaiah for and that's another thing, man, like, being in a church where you just go through you don't just get breadcrumbs and a topical sermon, you actually go through the books of the Bible, and, having a pastor that's dedicated enough to do that, and,
Mhm.
I can only imagine that, you know, the the prep that goes into that, he's thinking, like, a year ahead of time with a book like Isaiah.
Yeah. No,
Um,
exactly. What
yeah,
was it like, I'm trying to remember how many, like, episodes, for lack of a better word, um, but a while ago, like, years ago, I got, um, all of R.C. Sproul's Romans sermons,
yeah,
and there's, like, 54 or 56 of them or something like that, and so it's like he literally went through this for more than a year
yeah.
just through Romans, which isn't a giant book, you
No,
know?
but it is at the same time.
Right, yeah. Oh, it's weighty for sure.
Yeah,
So, we're actually, right now at our church, we're going through Exodus, which has been a
nice.
really interesting one. Of course, the other interesting aspect to this is, um, our main pastor is actually on a sabbatical at the moment. It's apparently written into, like, the church, like, bylaws that, it's every 7 years or something like that, that the pastor would take an extended sabbatical just to rejuvenate himself and to refresh himself, get some rest. And he'll have occasional weekends where he's not, you know, preaching that Sunday or whatever, but it's like 90% of the time it's him.
Mhm.
So now, Joe's favorite pastor from Tallahassee, Brian, is kind of taking up the mantle in his absence. So it's been great. Love Brian to death. Love our church. Exodus is wild. There's some crazy stuff that goes down in Exodus. So
Yeah.
it's been really really interesting to hear.
Yeah, well, you better watch out talking about pastors taking sabbaticals. There's some people who would not take too kindly to that. They can't have a break, Tyler. They're not allowed. I don't know. That one was crazy to me. I don't know why that was a controversy, but it's funny you mentioned that because my pastor just went on a week vacation last week.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
I
I
I
don't know,
think it's
man.
important. Like, I don't know. I somebody told me a long time ago, you can't feed people if you yourself aren't fed.
Mhm.
You can't give of yourself if there's nothing to give. So occasionally being able to refresh and rest, like, there's a biblical precedent for rest. Like, even God rested on the seventh day.
Yeah.
So, that I think it's okay for your pastor to be able to take, a few, in this case, it's like I said, it's an extended sabbatical. Um, since it only happens like once every 7 years, I believe it's seven, um, which, would be for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
Um,
It's his year of
you know,
jubilee.
yeah. So he's off for the summer. So sometime in August, he will rejoin us, and I'm sure there will be much celebrating and welcoming with open arms. So because he's actually, he actually told us, he's like, the weird thing is, like, I feel weird not being at our church, but if I'm there, then being able to actually shut off myself from being in pastor mode is difficult. So
Yeah.
since we're part of a network of churches, and specifically in Tallahassee, there's like four different campuses, like sister churches that are all related. Um, So he was actually telling me he's planning on attending our newest plant, just as an attendee, as a congregant, um, and seeing kind of what's going on there. Of course, the pastor there is fantastic. Love Greg to death. So he'll be in good hands for sure.
Yeah.
We'll be excited for him to come back too.
Yeah. Yeah, I just the people that say that kind of thing, like, I like, the most charitable thing I can think is that they just don't know how much a pastor has to do. And, they're just like anybody else. What they're doing, best case scenario, if you have a good pastor, is being done unto the Lord. And, like, that's great. That's awesome. But they're also men. So they get tired just like we all do. Like, I'm at the end of a really long work week. And when
Hmm.
you're a pastor, like, you get done with a really long work week and you get a call from one of your congregants that is at the hospital, or if you're like my pastor, just someone in town or not even in town. Like, we were just at dinner tonight, we're talking about a guy that he visited in a city that's like half an hour away that was in the hospital, or family members of congregants, like all the different people that they have an impact on. That's all awesome, but it also wears on you both. And we talked about this with Daniel too. And actually Daniel said something very similar to what you just said, in that uh, you can only give what you receive, basically. And if you're not filling your cup, then you have nothing to pour out into others. And yeah, it's just, man, they need a break too. Like,
Yeah.
physically it's demanding, spiritually it's demanding, emotionally it's demanding. So,
Well, and I
don't.
think there's a lot of people that don't realize like there is so much more. Like the title of pastor and preacher aren't interchangeable. Like
Right.
most of the time, your pastor is your preacher.
Mhm.
Um, but your pastor is also so much more. Like it's literally in the name. Like pastor translates to shepherd.
Mhm.
So if there is much more shepherding to happen than just preaching on Sunday morning,
Yeah.
you know. So like if that's all you do, then yeah, like maybe a sabbatical is kind of weird. It- but if you're actually a faithful shepherd to your flock that you've been
Mhm.
given charge over, that's I mean, it's literally a full-time job
Yeah.
for many.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and we're basically Baptists here. We both go to non-denominational churches, but it's Baptist polity. And,
it was just
there's
Baptist without commitment.
yeah. But, like, there's a plurality of elders in both of our churches, and no one elder is above the other, but there's always going to be one, or depending on the size of your church, maybe more, that has more responsibility on the shepherding side of things than the others do. And, I guess part of that is uh, just logistical. Like, you know, you, what are the chances you're going to find men qualified enough to do all of that
Right,
multiple
yeah.
times over in one church? Um,
Well, and
but
some of it boils down to like, whoever does the preaching most of the time,
mhm,
they're for all intents and purposes the face of that church. And so a lot of people will not even consider the rest of the elders, and unless you're like a pretty involved member,
yeah,
like that's who you think of, like that's who I need to go talk to
mhm,
is, you know. And I think a lot of this also stems from the fact that like there are a lot of small churches that are you have one guy,
yeah,
you know. And obviously we've talked to some people like I know our Scottish Daniel, um he's got a very small church, um and his situation is like he's kind of it, you
yeah,
know, and he understands like that's so much weight as for one man.
yeah,
um But if that's what you have, that, what else can you do? You just kind of do it. But in the case, like, so I guess this would also be an encouragement of, like, if you have multiple elders at your church, get to know them, um, and confide in them and go to them with problems. Like, don't just stress one guy out,
Yeah.
because they're that's what they're there for. They're there to be the elders of the church, the wise men of the church, the shepherds of the church.
Yeah.
You know, like when you look at the biblical example of shepherds, it wasn't just one man shepherding his flock. You might have a shepherd that's kind of in charge, but you have other people, you know. Maybe I read too much into that, but I think there's something to be said about plurality for not just overworking one man.
Yeah. Yeah, and everybody has their gifts, and um, you know, uh, it's awesome being part of a church like mine. It's like any other church. We need more workers. Like every church needs more workers, but the people that are plowing the fields, uh, they're just ready and willing at all times. And
Yeah.
like my pastor does a lot, and there are certain things that a pastor does that a deacon like me isn't qualified or able or shouldn't do. Like,
Right.
you know, unless it's some sort of emergency, I'm not going to be preaching a sermon. That's an elder thing. Uh, stuff like that. But uh, to the best of your ability, just help your churches out. Um, if you don't think that your church needs more help, then just get a little bit closer in there, get a little bit more involved, and you'll see there's plenty of work to be done.
They definitely need your help. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's something else too, is like, we've said it many, many times before. Pray for your elders and your
Yeah.
pastors. Um, there's such an intense weight. First of all, James makes that pretty clear.
Yeah.
There's something extra weighty about leading God's people, and leading them well and leading them faithfully. That if you don't, like, there's like a special punishment for you.
Yeah.
you know Jesus said it would be better for you to have a millstone tied around your neck and thrown into the sea than to lead any of my little ones to stumble.
Yeah.
And that's most definitely, a an intense responsibility for a shepherd, to shepherd the people of God in such a way that he doesn't cause them to stumble. Um, and I can only imagine the the everyday burden of feeling that, especially if your pastor is a faithful pastor.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, so yeah, pray for your church, pray for your pastors, your elders, your deacons too.
Yeah. Yeah, you're little unimportant deacons like me. No, I'm just kidding. They're important. They are important.
they, they
Yeah.
they are the grease on the axle, as it were.
Some more than no, I'm just kidding. That's a joke.
We're not to name any names or anything.
Yeah. Joe. Yeah, but I just like all week. So, like I said, my pastor was gone this past week. My good buddy Craig, love Craig. He gave us a sermon on Isaiah 6. And there's some really good one-liners in here. This is the one where Isaiah comes into the temple, and the temple is filled with the train of God's robe. And he made a really good analogy about that. Like, you get the point of what that's saying, but he was talking about like a bridesmaid. And
Oh.
what's the bridesmaid's like big job? It's to hold the train of the bride's robe so that she doesn't really have to worry about anything. And he was
Yeah.
just talking about how like this train of a robe is like this real kind of unimportant thing. It's not that glorious or anything. It literally drags on the ground, and that fills up the temple, and it causes Isaiah to just sit there and be like, I am a man of unclean lips, and I live among a people of unclean lips. And that's such a good line. Isaiah's awesome, and for Isaiah to be the one saying that, like,
The mouthpiece of God,
yeah,
the one who speaks to man on God's behalf, is saying, I have a dirty mouth.
yeah,
You know?
yeah. If
Woe is
I
me, I am undone.
yeah, if Isaiah is convicted just seeing this peedly little thing fill up the temple, I'm not. That sounds kind of blasphemous, but you understand what I'm saying. Like the most minute thing, the train of God's robe filling the temple. Um, yeah, that should make us all think. But then it goes into, the angel grabs the coal and touches it to
Mm.
his lips, and he says, "You've been made clean." And obviously, pointing to the sacrifice of Christ, he took the coal off the altar. What happens on an altar? That's the sacrifices, if you were wondering.
In case you didn't know.
Yeah. um, I think he says your guilt is taken away and your sin is atoned for. We know only one thing does that. Hebrews 10, is it like Hebrews 10:4 or something? The blood of bulls and goats never atoned for the sins of man, something like that. And you're going to look up Hebrews 10:4. It's going to be something completely different, somewhere around there. But yeah, pointing directly to Christ, as Isaiah does often. And then immediately, here we go. I got verse 8 pulled up. It says, "And I heard the voice of the Lord saying, Whom shall I send, and who will go for us? Then I said, I being Isaiah, Here I am, send me." And you have this recognition of guilt by Isaiah, just going into an immediate willingness um, to just serve. Like, yeah, uh, uh, I'm unworthy. Joe is completely unworthy to do anything for the Lord. I don't even deserve to be a servant of the Lord. And yet,
Right.
he has atoned for my sins on the cross. He is making me new day by day, more like Christ. And even though I'm not there and I won't be there until I'm with him, uh, it pumps you up. Like, keep going. Galatians 6:9, do not grow weary in doing good, for at the proper time you will reap a harvest. And yeah, then sorry, I don't mean to clog up the airways here. If you
No,
got
you're
any
good.
if you got
You're
any
good.
input, just mute me. You have that power. But then it goes into God saying, go and say to this people, keep on hearing, but do not understand. Keep on seeing, but do not perceive. Make the heart of this people dull and their ears heavy, and blind their eyes, lest they see with their eyes and hear with their ears and understand with their hearts and turn and be healed. And I've read that. Dude, I have read Isaiah a lot of times. There was a time in my life, it took quite a while, but I read Isaiah like 4 or 5 times in a sorry if you hear my children crying. Like 4 or 5 times in a row, because there's just so much in there. And like the way that Craig put it, um, he served as a pastor at a dying church for a decade.
Wow.
And he's just like, he put it so simply. He's just like, yeah, God's telling Isaiah, this is going to be a tough ministry, man. Like, you're going to be tires spinning in the mud for, well, he says right after this, Isaiah says, then I said, how long, O Lord? And he said, until cities lie waste without inhabitant and houses without people, and the land is a desolate waste. And the Lord removes a people far away, and the forsaken places are many in the midst of the land. And though a tenth remain in it, it will be burned again like a terebinth or an oak, whose stump remains when it is felled.
Mm.
The holy seed is its stump. And it's like, yeah, if you're going along in this life and you feel like it's just a grind and you're just trying to make it day by day and you find yourself crying out and you're not going to have as majestic of a servant life to God as Isaiah did, but
Right.
you're meant to be doing what God has for you. And as long as you're doing that, you're probably going to feel like it's a slog sometimes. Like, God, I'm one of those people that is working in the church. We don't have enough workers. I'm trying to do as much as I can and we need more workers. We need more people. I need help. Or you're evangelizing and you just feel like, man, I don't see the fruit. I don't see people coming or whatever it is. It could even just be your work. Like, God, I'm trying to be the best worker I can. Oh, I'm not moving up. I'm not XYZ. It's hard to pay bills and fill my gas tank up right now. And you find yourself crying out, like, how long? Uh, he's telling you till it's done.
Right.
And not only till it's done, but I'll give you the strength. So yeah, if you're going through something like that, read Isaiah. Isaiah is great with that. I mean, there's the classic Job as well. that'll that'll make you appreciate what you got for sure.
Right. Yeah. Well, shoot, Job is that's a whole ball game there.
Yeah.
I don't envy that guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
You ever feel like
I
you don't oh, sorry.
I was just, I don't know that I have anything more to add. Like you hit it all really well.
You should have told me to shut up. You should have muted me.
I was just taking it in, brother.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a really good sermon. Yeah, I don't know. It's funny how God works. Like, you can read a book of the Bible as many times as you want. Dude, like I was talking about Luke at the beginning of the episode. I couldn't even tell you how many times I've read Luke. Like, a lot. And then you go back to it and it's like reading it all anew again. It's like, oh yeah, I forgot about this, you know?
Well, I mean, doesn't the Bible say that the word is living?
Yeah.
You know, and that's I can't tell you how many times I've had something like that where like I've read through it a million times, and even just like reading it again, finding something new in it. Let alone like you have a good preacher that will exposit the word, maybe help explain some more things about it, like in the way that it's referenced or some cultural context that really just hammers it home even better, you know. And yeah, the word is truly alive. I mean, quite literally, the spirit pours out from it, you know. Um, so I guess all that to say, read your Bible, folks.
Yeah. Yeah. And at the end of the day, it just comes back to like, number one, God is sovereign, of course. But also, we believe that the war is over. God already won. And no matter how difficult your life is at this given moment, um, like, you have a hope to look forward to.
Amen.
So I could do so much better living my life as if that is true, because it is. Uh, yeah, like all the difficulties we talk about with cars or work or whatever it is, like when you compare it to the weight of the guilt of your sin, that's that's not a big deal. That's a way bigger problem that he took care of. So he can take care of those too, you know. May not
Well,
be
and
the way
and
you want it, but
it's kind of just like because he's already taken care of that. It's sometimes like we don't have to worry about like we live in a society where like we don't really concern ourselves with religiosity and like atoning for sin or anything. Like we just don't even that doesn't even enter our mind.
mhm.
And So I think I think in a lot of ways like that it kind of causes us to do that, like because we're not thinking about that,
Yeah.
But I mean, of course, talking about that, it made me think of that clip of a preacher I saw recently that I was just floored to hear somebody say, talking about how he didn't think we should tell people that Jesus died for their sins, because he was like, we don't live in a sacrificial system, like that doesn't even make any sense.
Oh, yeah. I
It's
know,
just
yeah.
like, brother, what?
Actually, we live in the sacrificial system, the one that the old covenant sacrificial system was pointing to, yeah.
Like, you do realize why we don't live under that anymore, right?
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, I think Jesus said something on the cross like, what was it? "It is finished." Oh, yeah.
It is
Yeah, that
finished.
was it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I will never understand, like, sometimes I think I can excuse goofy things that people say just because they're trying to I can understand a pastor trying to say something in a clever way and maybe make it pop or like make not make it
Right,
pop, but kinda like what we're talking about, try and induce what the word does naturally, like we were talking about before, like make it, fresh in people's minds. I don't know if that's the case with that one. I
well, some
forgot
people
the
also just prove James's point.
yeah.
Let not many of you be teachers.
Yeah, true. Yeah. But I mean, you know, not living in a an ancient Hebrew sacrificial system like that, um, I guess there's a danger, but there's also a good thing about that. Like, obviously, we don't wanna be atoning for our sins. We're not, whipping ourselves in the back. We're not ascetics. But also, we ought not to be antinomians, and we should take our sins seriously because that that sacrifice is not like a temporal thing in the sense that um we live our lives temporally experiencing time, and we maybe lie or whatever, we commit some sort of offense to God, and we don't quite think about it as much because we don't have to go to this temple and atone for it,
Right.
but we ought to think about what Christ had to do on the cross and the sacrifice for it, and not necessarily feel guilt. You know, the Holy Spirit convicts, and we should feel convicted at times, but also understanding that it's not on us. Like, there's no extra weight we have to carry. There's a burden of what's the word I'm looking for? Like habitual sin. Like if you have habitual sin in your life, you should have a burden. If you don't, then there's probably a problem. But yeah, I'm just rambling all episode at this point. I apologize.
You're good, dude. You're good. Well, and I mean, ultimately that's what the curse of the law is. You're under this set of rules, and by the way, there's no hope.
Mhm,
That there's no, because you can't follow the law perfectly. You cannot earn salvation. Um and there's just nothing else you can do. Like there So when Christ comes and fulfills the law, like he shows that he's like, th- th- there's a reason the law exists, and that's to point you to me.
mhm,
It's to point you to, you can't do this. Come to me. I've fulfilled it. I have done it for you. And so, like, I think there's something important in understanding that, like, you should absolutely be convicted of your sin when you commit sin. When we have habitual sin or whatever, there should absolutely be conviction there, but there should not be shame and condemnation where there is no shame and condemnation. And that was something that, like, was really powerful for me, kind of through my learning of the Reformed faith and the doctrines of grace, this idea that it became fresh for me to hear Jesus say, like, I come not to condemn the world. The world was already condemned,
Yeah.
but I came that I might give life, you know?
Yeah.
And so that's ultimately, what it has to boil down to is, like, there is life
Mhm.
through Christ. There's not shame. There's not condemnation. When you come to Christ, it's because he already knows you can't do it. That's just you acknowledging, I can't do this.
Yeah.
you know. So there
I
is no condemnation.
I often quote Pilgrim's Progress, and it reminds me when
Oh.
he goes up the mountain. Man, I can't remember. I need to reread it again. I read it every year. It's about time. I'm about to do this year. But he goes up the mountain and there's the part where Moses comes and beats him. Like and that's the law. The law is just gonna beat you down. But then uh I got this part right here. Sorry, my phone just went off. That's embarrassing. Not the first time it's happened here. But this little quote from Pilgrim's Progress, dude, this will get me every single time. Now I saw in my dream that the highway up which Christian was to go was fenced on either side with a wall, and the wall was called salvation. Up this way, therefore, did burdened Christian run, but not without great difficulty because of the load on his back. He ran thus till he came at a place somewhat ascending, and upon that place stood a cross, and a little below, in the bottom, a sepulchre, which is a tomb. So I saw in my dream that just as Christian came up with the cross, his burden loosed from off his shoulders and fell from off his back and began to tumble, and so continued to do till it came to the mouth of the sepulchre, where it fell in, and I saw it no more. And it goes on like, dude, read Pilgrim's Progress. It's amazing. But the burden the burden on your back, the burden of your sin, the load on your back that's bogged you down your whole life is gone at the foot of the cross and disappeared in the tomb with the resurrection of Christ. Um, we've been raised to new life with Him, and yeah, I mean, it's just like a constant thing that I have to remind myself is, hey, live your life like that's true. And sometimes that has to do with my attitude and my pride and not being a jerk. And sometimes that has to do with making some really difficult decisions and having some really difficult conversations, whether it's, you know, uh, confessing sin or whether it's, maybe doing something Christ like that you really don't want to do according to your flesh,
Right.
you know? But yeah, that little section of Pilgrim's Progress there, dude, it gets me every time.
I
It's so
I it's
good.
been a while since I've read it. I started trying to read it to the kids, and I could tell that most of my children were having a hard time following it. So I was just like, okay, maybe we wait.
Yeah, there is a kids version. Um,
Yeah. Well,
it's
my daughter started reading it just on her own, my oldest.
nice.
Um, and she really enjoyed it, which was
Yeah,
cool. Um, she was the only one that was like actually like paying attention because some of the words in there I'm even having a hard time with,
yeah.
and because I have the
Sepulchre and
unabridged.
yeah,
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I have Tony's one of Tony's copies.
nice.
So from when he was doing that little book sale where he was trying to pare down his library,
Yeah,
I was like, yeah, give me
yeah,
that.
yeah. There's the kids version is it's still pretty good, but
Is it?
I would recommend part two. Have you ever read
Mhm.
part two?
Oh, with Christiana, his
Yeah,
wife. Yeah.
Christiana and the kid. Yeah, that one would be great. My daughters love part two just because it's the wife and they're also females, so relate. But
Well,
Yeah,
and
all of
I
it's great.
believe at least one of the copies. So I have 2 different copies of the book. Like I said, I have the one from that I got from Tony, but I also have one that my dad gave me a long, long time ago. And it's also the unabridged. Um, and I know that one has part 2 in it. I don't remember if Tony's does or not.
Yeah.
I'll have to look.
Also, LibriVox, they do like free audiobooks and all kinds of stuff. It's LibriVox, LibriVox.
Okay.
They have the audiobook on there uh, with part two, part two with it. So that's a good download. Just throw it on the hard drive and,
Right.
yep, save it for a rainy day. I'm big on, I think we've talked about this before, maybe. We're just broken records, Tyler. But I'm big on like have a hard drive, like just download a bunch of stuff, whether monergism.org or
Yeah.
.com, sorry. LibriVox has lots of stuff. Just download stuff, man. Store it on a hard drive.
Yeah, I actually have on my phone. First of all, there is. Let me see if I can find it. I have something in here. Where did I put it? I what is it?
Mhm.
Monergism.com has an incredible list of like free ebooks that you can download. Um, and then there was also something that Ligonier put together. It was a bunch of like R.C. Sproul's books on ebook that I was able to get for free. So I have a bunch of stuff stored on my phone right
Yeah.
now. Some really cool old classic stuff too, which was cool.
Yeah. Have a hard drive, guys. Just do it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And also read, like, don't be afraid to read old stuff, you know?
In
Old
fact,
stuff. Old stuff is usually
old
better.
old dead guys are some of the best people to read because they're old and dead now, and so they can't have any sort of new controversies about scandals of impropriety or anything like that. So they're usually a pretty safe bet.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of old dead guys, I've been reading another book that I try to read yearly. Uh, don't usually always get around to it because although I have lots of books, I don't read lots of books, at least not as much as I should, especially this time of year. But Attributes of God by A.W. Pink.
Oh man.
I mean, you
Yes.
just throw A.W. Pink out there, it's going to be good. But Attributes of God is incredible. And I have this little quote here. I'm just a quote machine today. I'm just uh, were God to show grace to all of Adam's descendants, men would at once conclude that he was righteously compelled to take them to heaven as meet compensation for allowing the human race to fall into sin. But the great God and is under no obligation to any of his creatures, least of all to those who are rebels against him. I thought that was a really profound way of putting it. Like, the typical atheist challenge to a Christian is going to be, well, if God is so good, then why is he sending people to hell? And,
Right.
the obvious answer, like, hey, if you guys know the way of the master, you already know. But the obvious answer is,
No one is good.
yeah. Uh, the obvious answer is he's not sending you there because he's bad. He's sending you there because he's good and you're not. Um, and I don't know. I guess we all have family members and friends and stuff that uh, unfortunately die outside of the faith, and it's a tough thing to contend with when you're going through that. That it's a lot easier when it's someone that you care about to start questioning things. It's
Yeah.
a lot harder to grasp things sometimes for us, but uh, yeah, I mean, we already kind of talked about the law and such.
Well, and that was always an interesting topic in my apologetics class that I took a long time ago. It's this like people will bring up objections because they have an objection that's relevant to them,
Mhm.
be it because their family has a particular situation or they've personally experienced something. So it's always kind of like we were always told dig a little bit deeper. When somebody said, well, if God's so good and holy and whatever, insert attribute here, then why X?
Mhm.
um and that's usually a clue to say, well, what makes you ask that specifically?
Yeah.
And usually from there, like, you get to make that personal connection, um and be able to maybe minister to them directly in a way that you couldn't if you were just purely in regular apologetics mode. Like,
Yeah.
well,
Reading a script.
like, obviously, like, we can sit here and say it's because no man is good, and that's good enough for our conversation now. But for your average person that would bring up something like that, perhaps like there's something deeper there, and you would be better served to actually chase down their reason,
Yeah.
in a tactful way, rather than just going like, well, but you're not good in the first place,
Yeah.
because ultimately that's not helping.
Yeah. Yeah, and, the typical response to that you'll see online is like, "Oh, well, God gave man free will and therefore
Right.
sin." And it's like, "Well, yeah, but that doesn't really answer the question." And I don't know, I used to be more tactical with my evangelism and just try and dodge questions and, like, give them an answer that's good enough, but maybe not necessarily
Right.
even the case. But it's hard. It's really hard to, like, quote Isaiah 45:9, and I don't have that off the top of my head. I just pulled that up real quick just to let you know. It says, "Woe to him who strives with him who formed him, a pot among earthen pots. Does clay say to him who forms it, 'What are you making?' Or your work has no handles?" Um, it's really hard to say to them, like, "Shall the clay say to the potter, 'What have you made?'" But I don't know. I maybe I should think of a more tactical way to put that, like a more palatable way. But at the same time, a lot of those people that you're talking about, a lot of times it will be their contention will be something personal. But you can also tell if you push a little bit further, like maybe they'll bring up, "Oh, there's starving kids in Africa," or whatever. A lot of times they just hate God and think that they're better than whatever they think, like whatever their version of God is. They think they're better
Right.
than that. Like whatever
Yeah.
their perception, I guess I should say, of the Christian God is. They think they're better than that. Um, so yeah, I don't know, like not dogging on any evangelistic methods. Like Way of the Master is definitely helpful in certain situations. Point out people's sin, show them there's hope in Christ. But yeah, I think maybe being a little bit more personable too, like you said, can help. Go a long way. That's like actual discipleship, not just, "Hey, I'm
Right.
gonna talk to you for 10 minutes and hand you this tract and hope you find a church."
Yeah, that's not the street preaching method necessarily. That's
Yeah,
definitely a directed, like, one-on-one.
yeah,
So,
yeah, but it's also not like that, "Oh, well, you really have to get to know a person before you can even talk about the gospel."
yeah, the preach always and use words when necessary.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
also not that. So, yeah,
Also, definitely, most assuredly not that.
yeah. I mean, it all comes back around to Isaiah, though, because a lot of those conversations are hard, and you know exactly what God was saying about Israel at the time, probably gonna happen a lot.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's not really up to us whether or not, we believe here that God has to be the first mover. He has to change your heart in order for you to be capable of believing. I don't think that the difference between me and some of my friends from back in the day is that I was just smarter than them, or I just happened to stumble into the circumstances that I did where someone uh, put the gospel on display for me. I think it was that God, in His infinite grace, for whatever reason, still trying to figure that one out other than His glory, was gracious enough to change my heart. And I don't deserve it. None of us do.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, obviously, we've talked before. We don't have the same background, um, and that's also like something else that's so cool in the body of Christ is like
Hmm.
I grew up in the church and I understood it to be one way for so long, and then um, eventually had my expectations completely shaken by um, this new revelation called Calvinism. um, but it really, I mean, it's given me a huge appreciation for. I can't understand God's glory. I can't understand what brings him glory beyond he loves saving sinners. And I mean, obviously, like we love to hear those stories of the hopeless man who, like, if anybody should be shaved or should be saved, it shouldn't be him. He's
Hmm.
just done too much bad.
Yeah.
Um, but then those are the most hopeful. When you hear them, you're like, man, God delivered him from much. And that's the beauty is like your much sin and my much sin will look different, but ultimately at its core, if we're separated from God, we're separated from God.
Yeah.
And so like when we talk about like from a standpoint of like, if a sin is worse than another sin, like there's something to be said about that as far as like the consequences, directly tied to that sin or whatever. But at the end of the day, like if you find yourself separated from God, we got to fix that.
Hmm.
you know
That's the problem.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
And whatever temporal consequences, and the cool thing is like, so you and I now get to have this unity where even though like we come from very different backgrounds, different states, different churches, but yet we can come together and enjoy talking about the gospel that saved both of us.
Hmm.
And it's the very same gospel, the very same Christ. um and for some reason, like you said, he has deemed it glorious to save us both, and to ultimately direct us to where we get to have conversations like this, even when they seem to be coming from nowhere and going nowhere, or like we can ramble on for hours about all sorts of stuff. um but I think it's just out of a purely like, why me? I don't know, but God chose me, and he sees fit
Yeah.
to use me in whatever way this is going to bring about some good.
Yeah.
So I love, well, first of all, I love God. I think is a pretty neat thing that he did. you know um but no, I seeing the way God operates, and in saving his church, and in working through weird circumstances. I think back to the example of David, as Samuel is pulling him out of the group of his brothers, and everyone's like, "But why?
Yeah.
Why him?" And it's, God doesn't look at the outward.
Hmm.
You know, there's nothing apparently special about me or you or anybody else that's been saved throughout the course of Christian history. Um, and yet God takes those people that might be fairly ordinary and does great things with them. in their homes, in their towns, in their churches, potentially country or state or worldwide,
Mhm.
and realistically, like, we'll never know the weight of impact that God has had through me and you.
Yeah.
And I think there's something beautiful about that. Like, heck, we can talk about Calvin and Spurgeon and even more recent people like Sproul. We can bring these people up, and they have no idea who I am,
Mhm.
but they've had such an impact on me and helping me, shaping the shaping of my faith, and being conformed to the image of God's Son. And that's crazy to think that, like, that in some way could be us as well. Like, we'll never know the full impact, and yet it really matters not, because it's for His glory
Mhm.
anyway. So
Yeah, I mean,
all that to say, I
oftentimes
think the church is pretty cool.
yeah. Jesus, cool guy.
Pretty neat. Pretty neat.
Yeah. And, like, the ministry of a Sproul or a Spurgeon or a Bauckham or whoever, um, may be bigger in number, but your faithfulness to God is not measured by just statistics.
Right.
You know what I mean? God, I think, has, uh, well, he forms different pots out of clay for different things. And just be happy and willing, like Isaiah was when he said, "Here I am, send me." And, the really good example is the woman who had 2 copper coins, and she
Yes.
gave them both. Well, the Pharisees were given a lot. Um, they tithed off of their mint leaves. I mean, they tithed off of everything, and, she she tithed her 2 little copper coins, and Jesus himself commended her for that. So don't be dismayed if your evangelism isn't drawing dozens of people into the church. First of all, for all you know, down the line it could. Um, and also, don't be too optimistic if someone immediately, you know, responds to the gospel, they could fall away. I think the point is just be level headed, be willing to serve God, and do it for His glory.
Well
I
said.
so many times I quote Galatians 6:9. Do not grow weary in doing good, for at the proper time you will reap a harvest.
That's it.
Yep.
That's it. Well, Joe, it seems like we're kind of coming to a close here. Just, I can tell by the natural rhythm of things. So, why don't you remind everybody where they can find more?
I'm so glad you asked. You guys you guys are listening to us on a podcast catcher right now, I'm assuming. Maybe YouTube. We get a couple views here and there on YouTube, a couple commenters, usually dogging us for being Calvinists, but that's okay. We said we weren't gonna mention that again. Yeah, but you can find us on YouTube. You can find us on any of your podcast catchers, Spotify, anything. We're on all of them. You can also find us on X/Twitter at Overtheologizer, or you can email overtheologizing@gmail.com. Any questions you guys have, any um, feedback, whether it's positive or negative, we'd love to hear it. Any maybe you are Wes Huff's brother and you have his phone number and you wanna you wanna hook us up with that interview.
Have him email us. And if you missed that, it's overtheologizing@gmail.com.
Yes, sir.
Wes, please,
Wes.
please,
Wes, we need you. We don't
please.
not for the views. We just love you. You're one of those whether that we were talking about earlier, which is one of those guys, awesome
I
ministry.
genuinely just want to talk to him. Like,
Yeah, I know.
it's fascinating. Maybe we'll
Dude,
talk about swords. Maybe we'll talk
yeah,
about
and jujitsu and Yeah. How
His stuff that he does with the facsimiles, like
yeah. Like, I would legitimately love even if he was like, "Hey, guys, I'd love to talk to you. I don't want it recorded." That'd be awesome, dude. I'd be down
yeah,
for
I'd
that.
be
We don't
oh,
even have to
okay.
record it, Wes.
Okay, cool,
Yeah.
cool.
He's a busy man, though, so I get it. So
Well, and as Joe likes to point out, if you do like our content, please give us 5 stars. If you don't like our content, you can leave us a 1 star review by hitting that star all the way over on the right. It's all the way on the right.
all the way,
I
all the way.
promise. It's just it may look like it's five. It's not.
Yep.
Um,
Obviously, you have to click all 5 stars for it to be 5 stars.
right, right. That's why it's called 5 stars.
Yeah. Do we need to repent for this, Tyler?
It's definitely one of those silly jokes that we do every time,
Yeah.
and I kind of want it to just not ever go away.
Yeah, same. So, yeah, click that star all the way on the right. Other than that, we love you guys. We're gonna be for the Presbyterians in the crowd, you got something to look forward to. Thanks for listening.
See you guys.